So today we are in historic Leadville, Colorado. So let's go check it out. Leadville was first settled in 1859 during the Pikes Peak Gold Rush, although it wasn't officially founded until 1877. It lies at the headwaters of the Arkansas River, almost in the center of Colorado. At an elevation of 10,152 feet, Leadville is a very high altitude town. It's surrounded by 14ers, or mountains over 14,000 feet. Behind me is the Tabor Opera House. Opened in 1879, the Tabor Opera House was the most expensive structure in Colorado at the time. The three-story opera house was built by Horace Tabor, Leadville's first mayor. Oscar Wilde actually appeared at the Tabor Opera House in 1882. The newspaper the next morning wrote of Wilde's performance. Oscar Wilde's visit to Leadville excited a great deal of interest and curiosity. The Tabor Opera House, where he lectured, was packed full. It was rumored that an attempt would be made by a number of young men to ridicule him by coming to the lecture in exaggerated aesthetic costume with enormous sunflowers and lilies, and to introduce a number of hard characters in the traditional costume of the Western bad men. Probably, however, better counsel prevailed and no disturbance took place. As population of Leadville boomed, it gained a reputation as one of the most lawless towns in the West. The first city marshal was run out of town only a few days after being appointed. That was when Mayor Horace Tabor sent for Mart Dugan, who lived in Denver, as a replacement. Although he's not well known today, Dugan was well known at the time as a fearless gunfighter. Using strong arm and lawless tactics, Dugan brought order to Leadville by 1880 when he stepped down. He was shot and killed in 1888 by an unknown killer, likely an enemy he made during his time as marshal. Historian Robert Dearmont wrote, Mart Dugan was a quick-shooting, hard-drinking, brawling, tough Irishman, but he was exactly the kind of man a tough, hard-drinking, quick-shooting camp like Leadville needed in its earliest days. Leadville in the old days was full of characters. One of these people in particular was Alice Ivers, better known as Poker Alice. She turned to gambling to support herself after her husband died in a mining accident. She claimed to have won over $250,000 at the poker tables and never once cheated, or so she says. In 1883, shortly after the gunfight at the OK Corral, Doc Holliday moved to Leadville to deal cards. In 1884, he shot a former Leadville policeman who had threatened Doc over a $5 debt. Despite the evidence, Holliday was found not guilty of the shooting. Another interesting character was Margaret, or Molly Brown. She moved to Leadville when she was 18 years old, but she later gained her nickname of the unsinkable Molly Brown for surviving the Titanic years later. Yet another interesting character was Mayor Guggenheim of the famous Guggenheim family. He started out in Leadville in mining. His family went on to possess one of the largest fortunes in the world. 5 miles to the west of Leadville is Turquoise Lake, and it was dammed in the 19th century. It is named for the rare turquoise deposits found nearby. Just south of Leadville is Mount Elbert. At 14,439 feet, it is the tallest mountain in Colorado and second behind Mount Whitney in the lower 48 states. If you're getting thirsty, you'd be hard-pressed to find a better place than the Silver Dollar Saloon. Established in 1879, the Silver Dollar Saloon is a relic of the past, with many of its original pieces still intact. Its historical patrons included Doc Holliday, Molly Brown, and even Oscar Wilde stopped in after his lecture at the Opera House across the street. Wilde recalled of his visit a sign over the piano that read, "Please do not shoot the pianist. He's doing his best." This area really offers everything you could want from a trip to Colorado. Giant mountains, high altitude lakes, hiking, fishing, and a proper Wild West town rich in history. Well, that's all we have for Leadville, so we will see you guys on the next one. Now, I'm not saying she's a gold digger, but is she in the National Mining Hall of Fame?